we go.
Yay!
Perfect. I'm so excited. This is the first episode of the Thrive Over Survive video series that I'm putting out here on Instagram. So very similar to a podcast, blog, whatever you want to call it, but we're doing it here on Instagram. And I'm so excited to have my friend and biz bestie, Megan, here with us today. She is the founder of the Mompreneur Guide. If you don't follow her, check her out. Check out her podcast. She has so many great guests on there, so much great content. So, Megan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you can tell us what you do best, and we'll just roll right into questions and how you have your tips on how to help us make our everyday more manageable, which is what this series is all about.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me, Emma. I really appreciate it. For everybody who doesn't know, my name is Megan Moran, and I'm the owner of the Mompreneur Guide. And I help mompreneurs simplify their businesses so they can be more present and productive. And like Emma mentioned, I do that through my podcast and then also through coaching. And really my goal is I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I was raised by a mompreneur. And so at a young age, I saw my mom being present and productive. She was going after her dreams and her passions and running her own business, but then she was still there to pick me up from school, to be there for all of my sports moments. And while I may have had to go back to her office, I was entrenched with this idea, the possibility, the belief that I could do both and I could do it exceedingly well. And so I started my first business in high school, actually, and I started it as a personal styling business because that's what everybody told me I was good at. And so I was like, great, I'll be present and I'll be really productive right now when I don't have kids, because I know down the line I want to have them. So let me get into the thick of it now, get this well-oiled machine running, and then when my kids come, I'll be good to go. And as I'm sure all of us moms could laugh, that's just not how things go when kids get into the space. So I did that for 10 years. My kids came along. I realized that just wasn't the legacy I wanted to leave. I was really running the business because I wanted something to make me present and productive. But the vehicle to get me there, the styling business, wasn't what I really enjoyed. What I enjoyed was simplifying things, going into people's closets, decluttering them so they were really streamlined and focused on what worked best for them. And so now, as time has evolved, that's what I'm doing in women's businesses, is helping them achieve that lifestyle that I grew up on, the lifestyle we're giving our kids. I lived it on the other side, and I'm bringing it to my children. And so that's what I want to help mompreneurs do, is simplify so they can stay focused, put one foot in front of the other, and do what lights them up.
So I love your message, and I love that you come from that background, and that's kind of what drove you, was that your mom was this entrepreneur that you got to grow up with, and that this is now kind of like your second business, like you've already reiterated, like that you said. But for what you've seen with working one-on-one with clients recently and working with specifically mompreneurs, what would you say is the biggest struggle you see mompreneurs having that blocks them from, living this present and productive? Would you say it's like a mindset thing or more of a strategy? Like, kind of where do you see those things tripping up moms?
Yeah, I see it. It's really a combination of both. What I see is that we all have these amazing ideas. We have all these ways that we want to help people. And then we get stuck in the clutter. And we get stuck in the clutter in two ways. One, we've been in our businesses for a while, most of us, or we might be a little bit more experienced. We're, in year 3+. So we know how to start our business. But then it's just like our closet. We get into the thick of it and we've accumulated all of this stuff along the way. We never took time to look at it, clean out. Do I still like this? Do I still enjoy this? Does it still work for me? And so we get into the weeds of our business, and then we're sitting there thinking, what in the world am I doing here? Is the business the business I want to be running? And typically it's yes. But we just need to keep cut and add some things. We need to declutter so that we're more focused and simplified. And I know that's what you help people do, Emma, is more with their systems and strategies. How can we make things more clear and concise and streamlined? We both share that. So really it's a combination of, you realize that you are stuck in the weeds, or maybe you don't realize it, and now here's that aha. And then even when we start to work together, you still have this block of, I need to do more, I need to do more, I need to keep putting more things into this machine that I've made. And so oftentimes, even when I'm working my clients, I still have to bring them back to, we can do this more simply. I was working with a client last night, and we had mapped out, like, okay, here's the common thread between all you're doing. Really, here's your vision, your mission, your legacy, and your why, which become our guiding posts and where we simplify our businesses back from. So we have that. We've been working with that. And we had made a 90-day plan because she had a launch that she wanted to do. And so we had all of those pieces of the puzzle moving together. We'd been together for a month so far. We were working on her content calendar and like, how are we going to start talking about this in a simple way? And even then, when we laid it out very simply, she still was like, well, I could do two things. I can do this for my email list and I can do this for my Instagram. And we were like, why make it harder on ourselves? Let's keep things simple. Let's do the one thing and repurpose. And so that's what I'm a lot about. I call myself a minimalist business strategist. And really, a minimalist business is all about having less in there and focusing only on the things that are serving a purpose or excite us and bring us joy. So kind of like Marie Kondoing your business is the thought. And it's really that mindset shift of, it can be simple. Susie Moore just came out with a book called Let It Be Easy. And it really, to me, is that mindset shift of, let it be easy. Stop overcomplicating things. You can have a more simple and streamlined business than you may have overcomplicated it so far and made it out to be.
Yes, I love that you use the term minimalist business strategy because I think that's such a great way to put it. You know, I work with, like you mentioned, clients, but we do it in a systems fashion, in a tech fashion, because I see people cluttering up all this tech because they think they need it. And I'm like, well, this and this already are doing what this other tech is doing. So you really don't need all of this, and just no one took the time to go through that in their business because they're always trying to get the next step forward.
Yes.
So they accumulate all this tech, or they accumulate all these problems from not taking the time to reflect on their business. So going off of that, because you had so many good things that I'd love to pick apart, but specifically when you said, you know, especially with it being end of year, people are trying to get really clear on their next steps into the new year and how they're gonna, you know, usually people wait till the end of the year. We know that you shouldn't wait till the end of the year to reflect, but for people doing their year-end reflection, planning, budgeting, things like that, what do you think, or what have you seen as a trend, or what do you feel as like the expert in this area, is why they're holding on to this clutter, or why they struggle with getting that clarity?
Yeah. I think the problem is going back to not knowing, not taking that high level view of your business and knowing, like, what is that legacy, that mission, and that why? Because when we don't have those in our focus all of the time that we keep referring back to and using to make our decisions, we often get cluttered. We spread our energy too thin. We spread our thoughts too thin. And so our actions are all over the place. And so what I have found is, when I can keep bringing clients back to, that's the first bit of work we do, is figuring out who you are, your personality tests, you know, what you like, what you enjoy, and really streamlining down to, okay, here is the big mission. Here is the vision that, like, at your end of your life, you want to have accomplished. When you think about at the end of your life, what do you want people to say about you? What is the point of all this? You're in business, you're doing this. Why? When we really hone in on all of that, then it helps us take one foot and put it in front of the other and start reaching our goals. It can be hard to be in the thick of our business and not have that clarity. Without that clarity, we have no guidance. And it can be hard to live up here, up at the top of the skyscraper at that aerial view, and not be down on the ground. And so when we have that to guide us, then it makes every decision moving forward a lot easier. And so oftentimes, I did a Simplify My Biz event recently. It was a free coaching event. And when I was doing that, the women came on and they were sharing where their business felt complicated. And oftentimes it was, they came in and they had multiple ideas and they just didn't know which one to put their focus on first. And so the question again that I posed to them is, what is your goal right now? And what is your why? And in
Right.
mapping those two things out, and with our legacy, our mission, our why, those kind of three things come in a package deal for me. When we put those all together and then map it with, well, is our goal to make money right now? Is it to grow our audience? Like, what are we really trying to do in this moment? Then what I like to do is a 90-day action plan where we focus on one thing a month. So by the end of those 90 days, we reach that end goal, with that guide being what our vision is. And so really that's where I find people's hold up, is that they're just kind of stuck in this circle in the rat race, and it's really figuring out where do we need to get clear and using that to guide us.
What would you say? Because I've heard you mention, we obviously has been talking about the vision, the legacy, and then the action plan. Those are like your core pieces. How would you differentiate, I guess, or do you differentiate vision and legacy and mission? Are they three separate things for anyone who's listening? Or is that like something you're using interchangeably? Like, how do we start thinking in that, what do I want my legacy to be? Because, I never posed that question to myself. I just, I knew what my why was. I knew what my mission was. I knew that I wanted to make money for like time freedom. So how do we start, and for anyone listening, how do we start, defining those and separating those three things?
Yes, to answer that first part of the question, I do view them as three, almost four. I've recently come across a new way to look at your vision to help you. What I've been learning in the mindset space, I'm like an active junkie. I know we've talked about this before, all like the personal development mindset. Like I read a million books all the time. And so what I'm learning is when we embody the feeling of that future self, that helps us achieve it. And so vision, I'm working on some of that embodying, but that to me is like, who is that, millionaire version of yourself? When you ask yourself, what does she do? What decisions does she make? That's really where I get to the vision. Like when your business is making all of the money, which one way I like to think about it is if you have $1 billion and you put that in a savings account, every month conservatively, that money makes itself $1 million. So when you can start thinking from that mindset of, okay, my money's making me $1 million, what will I do? How will I act? How will I use that money? That's really where I get to the vision, how I personally and my clients get to the vision of what are we doing here with our business? What's our end goal? The legacy I find is more personal. The legacy is thinking like, basically when somebody is, at your funeral, not to be morbid, but like at the end of your life, how do you want the people in the room talking about you? Like, what are some adjectives you want them to say? What is the legacy that you want them to have seen? 100 years from now, if people are talking about your name, why are they talking about your name? What have you done? And so that's really the legacy and the mission. The legacy is kind of more personal, but your business obviously comes in there. Your vision is really like, what will you do with your money and why do you want it? Your mission is, for me, I'm on a mission to be a present and productive mompreneur, and I want to have as many mompreneurs do that as well. So that's like my driving force, which also tends to be your core message. Like what is that thing that you're doing? And your why is, at the end of the day, why are we doing all this? So for me, I want to be present and productive, like you mentioned, for time freedom and to be around for my kids, to have something for myself as an individual and growth, and then also to not miss the moments. And so that to me is the why. So the why is, why in the world are we doing this? The mission is typically your core message. Your legacy is the adjectives and the things that you want to be said 100 years from now about you. And then the vision is, think of you when you have all of the money in the world. How will you be helping people and serving people with your business?
Right. That's such a good point that you bring up, for one, how to separate all of them, because I think people get very confused. These terms are thrown all around a lot by people in our industry or in the online business in general. So getting really simple and clear on those four things that people can tend to overlook, because they'll just jump right into their business and they're like, I just need to make money. But then they're making decisions out of fear, because and we've talked about this a lot, because for anyone that doesn't know, Megan and I have been best besties for a while. Like she's
almost a full year now.
Yeah, pretty much almost a full year. Right after, I think it was right after you had
Sophia,
yeah, baby. I almost said baby number 2, because I like refer to them in
you're on baby
that's how I refer to my kids. But yeah, you had just come back and you're making the shift in your business from stylist to what the heck am I going to do?
Yeah.
So how would you, like, as a tip for our audience too, because I know we're coming up on time
Yeah.
with everything and I know you have other stuff to do,
Mm-hmm.
but how would you say that you, or a tip you could give the audience to not operate in a place of fear? Because I know from your journey behind the scenes, Megan made this huge switch and then she just focused in on a couple different things this year and then finally landed on her podcast, going all in on that. But you made a lot of decisions that many women probably wouldn't have been able to make if they'd been operating in fear. You really operated from an alignment with yourself and who you wanted to help. So what's something that you could provide from that journey?
Yeah, so I have two parts to that. The first one is the journey of belief in yourself. And the reason I say that's two parts is because I am still working on that. I did an Instagram live the other day, and my friend Grace, who was also on the podcast, she was having this conversation and about believing in yourself, and that's where we need to operate from. And it just hit me to my core because in everything I'm digesting right now and reading in the mindset space, that's what it comes back to. And so I think I innately, and I've done this and I've been in the entrepreneur space a long time, so I know what I can do. And I think there's always work that we can do in believing in ourselves more. And then I think it also goes back to knowing the value. Like we all have something that we're meant to do here and help people with. And think about the people you admire. What if they didn't do that? What if they didn't take that step and put out that podcast, put out that program, put out that post, even if it was messy to begin with? By putting one foot in front of the other and pairing that with knowing what your mission is and why and all of those things, it's that combination of, I knew when I made this switch that I am meant to help mompreneurs because of my unique background. Wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it, but I put one foot in front of the other and took some messy action to keep figuring it out. And so I think it's really, believing in yourself that you can do it, paired with the mission, the why are we doing this even to begin with, and having that overall goal. So I would really say those two things go hand in hand.
I think that's so perfect, especially for this time of the year as everyone's kind of reflecting, what next steps to not operate in fear if you have been, and to really believe in yourself because, like you said, the messy action is really what's going to give you that, I feel like the extra value in your business because you are learning for yourselves. It's giving you your unique perspective, what differentiates you. And it just is so much valuableness in making those mistakes that we deem are so big, or like they might be such a big deal. Like I made a mistake in my email that I put out last week for my launch promo for my Black Friday deal. And I'm like, sitting there in the car, I'm like, oh my God, I just did this and I didn't put the code that everyone needs for it to be free. And we were going shopping because it was Black Friday, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to be present with my family right now. I will fix it when I get home.
Yeah.
And everything will be okay. No one's actually really going to notice it. And if they do, I will refund them. It's not that big of a deal. Those messy actions are what is going to get you to that end goal that everyone sees.
Something is better than nothing. And again, it reminds us that we're all human. I mean, if anything, of this whole pandemic, it's, we are all human. We all get it. And it makes you realize that we're not big corporations like that. We are all in the same boat together. So yeah, that's a great story that you just shared there.
Thank you. I kind of forgot about that one, but I was like, oh, that was like, and as moms, we're usually perfectionists or type A women. We all like kind of sweat the small stuff, but that messy action, like you mentioned, is so crucial in discovering, how we want to operate, what we want to do. But for anyone who's like really struggling with getting their clarity or who missed your event earlier in the week, how are you in this next coming week / next year helping women? How are you working with women who might be interested in getting that clarity and doing more of what we talked about today?
Yes. So a couple of ways that I could support you based on where you are in your journey. First and foremost, my Simplify My Biz event, I will be doing again January 31st. So if you want to sign up for that, I'll make sure to drop the link, or I know Instagram's kind of weird with links, but if you head to my profile, you can get to that. You can grab your seat now to join us. It's not like your typical webinar event. It's live coaching in a group setting, and I try to pack it with a ton of value. So you will walk away knowing what to do next, pinpointing where you're currently stuck in your business and where to put your focus next. So that's that. If you know you want to simplify, but you want some clarity and need to dip your toes in. Next would be the podcast. Emma was on, you were episode number 6. I've got my episode board here. She had an amazing episode with all of her system strategies, and there's so many other amazing mompreneurs who have joined us to share different tips and tricks, to optimize your business. So there's that. Episode number 19, which aired last Monday, that one is all about why simplifying is so important in your business. So that could be another great place for you to start to understand the mindset shifts of where simplifying can help you. If you know that you are ready to take the next step and you're like, please help me simplify my business, I am the person who is in the weeds and feeling like I've overcomplicated things, and you really want to get a jump start on the next year, I have two programs available. They're both called Refocused and Re-Energized, and it helps you experience mompreneurs, get clarity, simplify your business, and get focused in 90 days. So if you prefer one-on-one, I've got that for you. If you want the community of like-minded women, and you also get one-on-one in there as well, it's a hybrid program. Either of those are available to you to start here in the next week so that you can move into the new year getting stuff done, which is obviously our goal, and to do it with some ease and to go into the holidays without that mental clutter and all of the stress that comes with that. So I want you to be able to be present, and we'll get you in order so that you can be that way.
I cannot recommend group, like for anyone on the fence, if you're like, I feel like I need this, you're feeling really called to actions, just I would say take a listen to the podcast like Megan mentioned, and seriously, if you're not sure about one-on-one yet, or you've never made that investment in your business, do the group program option, because that's how Megan and I met, was in another group program, and being with women that are experiencing similar things as you or are in different industries, it's just going to help you grow so much. And now's the time to invest in your business and in yourself, because I've seen it in my business, I've seen it in Megan's business and others. By investing in yourself as a mom, which I know is hard for some women, it's going to give you such an impact, not only as a business owner, but as a mother, as a partner, as however you define yourself. It's not going to just be like what Megan teaches is not going to just impact your business. It's going to impact your life overall. So I'm a big fan of the group program if you're not ready for that one-to-one, but some people really need that one-to-one. So
it's a whole lifestyle I'm living over here, and I'd love for other women to come join me. So if it's of interest, I'm here for you to support you whenever you are ready.
Yes, and anyone watching, if you want more simple tips, head over, listen to Megan's podcast as well. She's had some great guests I've followed along since episode 1. So, thank you so much, Megan, for being here with us today. And I should post right after we're done, and you should be tagged in this as well. So
share it with my whole community too. Thank you so much for having me, Emma. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.